Before they'd come from the San Fernando Valley, California. The letter itself was plain, cheap printer stock, thin and without any embellishments. Didn't she deserve at least cardstock and some elegant flowery border? She snorted, but the humor was short-lived. The words on the paper weren't funny. Bitches like you don't deserve to live when all you do is ruin lives. What a charming opening line, she thought. The letter went on from there, like the others, rambling about how she shouldn't be able to sleep at night, and that he, she assumed it was a he, would be watching. The big difference this time, besides the fact that he'd found her in D.C., was the ending. I'll be seeing you tonight. Her breath caught and pressure seized her chest. It didn't matter how many times she'd read that last line. Each time her eyes crawled across those 5 words, she felt the burn in her throat, the building in the back of her mouth. She wanted to scream, and she never screamed. Placing the letter beside the others in a neat line, she then stood on weak legs, her fingers icy and numb. She walked across the living room to the window overlooking the teeming street below. Traffic was snarled due to the rush hour, and sidewalks were packed. Branches on a few late-blooming cherry blossoms in the distance swayed. Her gaze moved from the faint pink blossoms to the people scurrying along the sidewalk and darting across the street, dodging taxis and town cars. Could he be down there right this second, watching her? No. She stopped herself from backing away from the window, from caving into fear, and squeezed her eyes shut. No way could she allow herself to think that. She'd end up like her mother then. She wouldn't let this fucker do this to her. Only she had control of her life and her choices. Focus, she said, rubbing tiny circles along her temples. She twisted away from the window and opened her eyes. The room was minimalistic in design, muted colors of black and gray. As a kid, she'd wanted everything to be in rainbow bright colors. That was before she'd developed something called taste, or before she'd ended up with the stick up her ass. Wasn't that what Chad had said to her once during her assignment? He wouldn't have been the first to say it, or the last. Her heels clicked off the hardwood floor as she went back to the coffee table. She dropped her hands to her hips, her eyes narrowing behind her glasses. She had to fix this, gain control of the situation. It was the only option. But doing so required that she take the threat seriously. Ignoring these letters, like she had been for the last year, was like ignoring an ache that wouldn't go away. No good shit comes from that. She needed to figure out who was behind these letters, and that wasn't going to be easy. Granny always said that her brass balls, lovely, were never going to win her any friends or a husband. Apparently, they had won her a stalker, though. That had to count for something. Alana had quite the list of people who had reason to be upset with her, too. But to send her threatening letters for a year? The latest even going as far as to warn her that he'd be seeing her tonight? Sure, she ticked people off with her hard-nosed tactics, but those facts had to narrow down the pool of suspects. While she had excellent sleuthing skills, that's not what she needed tonight. She needed protection. And she knew who to go to. Hopefully, he would be wearing more than boxers this time around. Although, she wasn't going to complain about the eyeful she had gotten when she tracked down Chad to his brother's house nearly 3 months ago. Through the course of her career, working with sports stars and actors, she had seen a lot of good-looking men who would have sensible women all across the nation dropping their panties. But that man, the eldest Gamble brother, had officially been the hottest male she'd ever laid eyes on. She wasn't sure if it was the wild shoulder-length hair or those startling blue eyes. Or it could have been those incredibly wide shoulders that would make any woman feel petite.